Hey friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. This week's What's for Dinner is a collab with my friend Amanda over at Faith Food and Family. She shares tons of food videos. I know y'all like food videos. If you're here, of course you like food videos. She does What's for Dinners, just individual recipe videos. I like her videos because she does a lot of like themed ones, like sheet pan dinners, crockpot dinners. One that she did recently was like how to use up leftover chili, which I love having different ways to use up leftovers. So definitely make sure you go check out her video today. She is also sharing a What's for Dinner. So make sure you go over there, let her know that you came from my channel. And if you are new here, if you came from Amanda's channel or you're just new here, hello, welcome. I am Taylor. I share these What's for Dinner videos every Sunday to hopefully give you some new meal ideas as well as to motivate you to cook more for your family. So if you like these, I hope that you will subscribe down below. Any recipes that I mention are always listed in the description box. Now let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. Friday night's dinner was actually super simple. We had some leftover chili that I showed how I make last week, or I didn't show it in last week's, I showed it in a vlog, but this was last week's chili that I made, and we had some leftovers. I even froze some leftovers, but we made nachos on Friday night with some of it, and I pulled out some of the Rico's nacho cheese from the freezer. And chili nachos are just easy because really all you need is like cheese and the chili meat, because there's already beans and like tomatoes and stuff in the chili. So that was a super simple dinner. It is Saturday night, and tonight for dinner we are doing lasagna. I pulled this one out of the freezer just a little while ago. It's not defrosted. I just pulled it out, have it ready. It is solid. It is frozen solid. I'm going to put the foil back on this, and it's going to go in the oven at 400 for about an hour and a half. It's going to take a long while to cook because it is frozen. When you've got a frozen lasagna, it's no different than buying like a frozen lasagna from the grocery store. It's going to take a long time to cook. So we'll get that in the oven, and then I will make this Italian bread to go with it. I'll cut that up. Put some Chef Shammy's garlic butter on it, and we'll have that with it. I will try to find the recipe video, the other What's for Dinner, where I made this, because I made two of them, I don't know, a month and a half ago, and then I froze one and I baked one for dinner. I'm gonna start doing that from now on whenever I make lasagna, because it's like no more work to make two at the same time. And then you have an easy meal to pull out of the freezer. I was so frustrated with my video editor this morning. I was like, I need something easy tonight. So I settled on lasagna for dinner. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that in there. My oven is at 400, and I'll see you in about an hour and a half. Okay, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. This is pretty much done. I forgot to do the little trick that I do where I put like toothpicks in the top before I put the foil on, so some of the cheese stuck to the foil. Not too much of it. It's honestly not that bad. And I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to put more cheese on it. There is a lot of cheese in this. It'll be fine. I just really don't want to shred any more mozzarella. I am going to put this back in the oven and broil it for a little bit and get the top like nice and browned. So I'm gonna do that, and then it'll be done. And I'm also gonna make my garlic bread. Okay, here is the finished dinner. I just cooked the bread like that at 350 for about 10 minutes, and then I sliced it and spread on some of this butter. It is delicious. If you haven't tried it yet, I get it at Sam's Club. I know it's available some other places too. You have to check their website for where it's available. But there's my plate, there are the kids' plates, and that is going to be dinner for Saturday. It is Sunday night, and tonight for dinner we are doing breakfast. We don't usually do breakfast because my family doesn't love it. I love breakfast and I would eat it all the time, but my husband Andy is working some overnight shifts, so he will not be here for dinner. So I thought it was the perfect time for me to make breakfast. The kids will be happy because I'm gonna make waffles as well. They don't love breakfast for dinner, but the kids will deal with it. Andy just like doesn't like waffles and things like that, and then like he's not one to eat eggs very much, so he would like not really like any of the dinner that I'm making tonight. Whereas me, I will eat breakfast, especially like eggs, like anytime. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, doesn't matter. It's probably one of my favorite foods besides like tacos. So as I said, I'm making bacon and waffles, and then I'll probably do some eggs. I don't know if the kids will even want eggs. Maybe they'll just have like some fruit or something. They might just do waffles and bacon. But I'm going to go ahead and get my bacon in the oven. That's how I like to do it. I've got some thick cut bacon from Aldi. I've laid it out on my sheet pan with some parchment paper, and this is gonna go in my oven. I do not preheat my oven when I do this. I just stick it in the cold oven and put it on 400, and it takes around 20 minutes. We've got the thick cut bacon. It might take a little bit longer, between like 20 and 25, I think, usually for the thick cut bacon. I don't always buy the thick cut, so I can't remember exactly. But I just like keep an eye on it around like 18 minutes. I try to keep watch on it to make sure I don't burn it. So I'm gonna get that in there. And the reason I don't preheat my oven first is I read something about it cooking more evenly when you let it like go in a cold oven. So that's why I do it that way. Not exactly sure on the science of it. That's just the way I have always done it. So I'm gonna get that in the oven, and then I'll be back in a little bit to show you what I'm doing to make waffles. Okay, now for waffles, I'm using a recipe from King Arthur Baking. Yeah, they make flour. So I've used the recipes before, but never this one for waffles. It's called the Easiest Waffles, and you use self-rising flour. And it has minimal ingredients. So in my bowl, I'm going to start off by mixing together 1 cup of milk at room temperature, 2 large eggs, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and 5 tablespoons of melted butter. Got all of that right here. And my milk wasn't room temp, but I just heated it up in the microwave for like 20 seconds to like make it so it's not cold, because yeah, I wasn't thinking ahead. So we've got room temp, in quotation marks, milk. So I will get those ingredients whisked together in this bowl, and then the only other thing we're gonna need is 2 tablespoons of sugar and 2 cups of our self-rising flour, and we'll whisk that in and then cook it in your waffle maker. I have the Griddler by Cuisinart. It has different plates for just being like a flat top griddle or a grill, and I currently have the waffle plates on there. They are sold separately, but I do love this thing because it's like multi-purpose, and I'm all about like products having like more than one use, especially when I don't have a very big kitchen to store all the different like appliances that I would want. So I'll just spoon some on there. This makes 4 at a time, and then we'll have some waffles. I decided I'm not going to make eggs tonight. We're going to do waffles, bacon, and then we'll each pick some sort of fruit. So I'm going to go ahead and get the waffles made. Okay, I am still working on cooking waffles, but the kids are ready to eat. So I am going to get them sat down at the table so they can go ahead and start eating. I'm just waiting on the last few waffles to finish up, and then I will make my plate. But they each have 2 waffles, and they asked me to cut them in sticks so that they could dip them. They've been really into dipping waffles, pancakes, like the frozen ones. I just cut them in strips and they dip them. They say it's less mess, and then they get to decide how much syrup they actually want to eat, which usually isn't very much, surprisingly. They're not like the biggest fans of syrup. They just like a little bit. So they've got some butter on their waffles. They each have a piece of bacon. There's obviously more bacon if they want it. And then I also cut up some strawberries for us to all share. I'll get some food picks for that. I'm just gonna put that like in the middle of the table. We can take what we want. But we're also eating on paper plates because trying to make this like minimal cleanup, because I already have like quite a few dishes to put in the dishwasher. So we are eating on paper plates tonight. And here is my plate. I've got 3 waffles, and then instead of butter, I'm using this pumpkin butter from Aldi. It is delicious. Think like apple butter, but pumpkin flavored. I haven't tried it on toast or anything yet, but I did like try a little bit like on a spoon, and it was really, really tasty. I bought this and the apple cider fruit spread, and I've been eating the apple cider fruit spread on toast in the morning. It is really good too. So I think this is gonna be really good on the waffles. I did put a little bit of maple syrup as well, and then I got a strip and a half of bacon because I was snacking on the other half of the bacon while I was cooking. So I've got that, and then I'll have some fruit as well. But that is going to be our dinner for Sunday night. It is Monday night, and tonight for dinner we are doing sloppy joes. I usually follow the Pioneer Woman recipe. Basically, I've taken the Pioneer Woman recipe and cut it in half because I don't need that much food. Her recipe calls for like 2 pounds or like 2.5 pounds of meat, and that's just like too much leftovers, because even making a pound, like it makes leftovers enough for at least Andy to take the next day for lunch. So that's the way I prefer to make it, is make like the half recipe. I will link her original recipe down below, and I will also list out like the measurements that I use down below as well. This is a little over a pound of ground beef, somewhere around like 1.25 pounds, because I buy it in bulk at Sam's Club, and it's like almost a 5-pound package, and I split it into 4 portions. So it's a little over a pound, but it works great. So I'm gonna put some salt and pepper on this and just get it browning. And once it's about halfway browned, I'm gonna come back and add in about 1/4 cup of onion, about half an onion, and some minced garlic. This is 3 cloves. So once this is about halfway cooked, I will add that in and continue cooking it the rest of the way. Okay, you just saw me add half a cup of water and 3/4 cup of ketchup to this. And I turn the heat down from a medium high to a medium low, because we're gonna let this simmer for a bit. I buy like 90% lean ground beef, and so there's not a lot of fat in it, so I don't drain it. But if you have a lot of fat in your meat, you could drain it or use the paper towel trick to soak up any extra grease. And now I've got some seasoning to add to this as well. This is a tablespoon of brown sugar, a teaspoon of chili powder, half a teaspoon of dry mustard, a quarter teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and then some salt and pepper. So we get that in there. And then I don't measure the hot sauce or Worcestershire sauce. I just, you know, kind of sprinkle some on there. So if you don't like it too spicy, don't add too much hot sauce. And then some Worcestershire sauce as well. As I said, I will link her original recipe down below, and then the measurements I use. Mix that all together, and that's it. This is just gonna simmer over that medium low for a little bit. It'll thicken up, and then towards the end I will taste it, see if it needs any more salt and pepper, but it probably has enough since I already added some to cook the meat, and then I just added a little bit more. But I will taste it towards the end to see what it needs. But we just want to simmer it until it thickens up. Usually takes about 10-15 minutes. Okay, here is dinner finished. We've got our sloppy joe stuff on some brioche buns from Aldi. I just have the sloppy joe stuff on the bun. The kids like theirs with some cheese, so there's some American cheese on there, and they always start off by splitting like burger, sloppy joe, chicken sandwich, like whatever. They always start off by splitting it, and usually they don't want more. Usually because of everything else on their plate, they're good with half of the sandwich. On the rare occasion that they do want more, we will make them another sandwich. So they've each got half of a sloppy joe with some American cheese, and then I just made a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese, and then we've got some fresh veggies. We've all got cucumbers. Me and Elijah have carrots. Me and Lily have tomatoes, and then each of them has some mini sweet peppers. And that is going to be dinner for Monday. Tuesday night I made Pollo Fundido. I started off by seasoning up some chicken tenders with this Goya, the perfect seasoning. This is really similar to the Badia Complete, but this has cumin in it, so I thought it'd be perfect for this, and I believe I've used it for this in the past. And then I also seasoned it with some adobo seasoning. I did the seasoning on both sides. And then I'm going to cook these in my cast iron pan. I like to heat it up over like a medium heat with some olive oil and butter. And I cooked the chicken in batches because I didn't want to overcrowd my pan, and I wanted to get like a nice sear on the outside of the chicken because that's delicious. So I just cooked the chicken probably about 4 to 5 minutes each side, just till it was cooked all the way through. Now, if you don't know what this is, it is a dish that's usually served at a bunch of like Mexican restaurants. Sometimes it goes by a different name, but it's basically just chicken covered with cheese dip. So I take the cheese dip that I get at Sam's Club, the El Terrifico white queso, and I cover the chicken with it. I cover the beans with it. This is just a can of refried beans. And then the rice is my homemade Mexican rice that I make in the Instant Pot. That video is on my channel. You can just search Taylor Elmore rice, and it'll probably be the first video that shows up. And it is delicious. We love this rice. And I love this meal. It is so good. That chicken cooked in the cast iron pan, any way I do it with any seasoning, is always perfect. And it's even better this way, covered in cheese dip, because what's not better covered in cheese? But yeah, we really like this dinner. Highly recommend trying it if you haven't already. It is Wednesday night, and tonight for dinner we are doing some Korean beef in the crock pot. Usually I make Korean beef like on the stove with ground beef, but I found this recipe on Pinterest and decided I wanted to give it a try. I had this meat in the freezer. It's some thin sliced steak, and it said it was for like stir fry, so I thought it would be perfect for this recipe because it calls for some thin sliced flank steak. I don't know exactly what kind of steak this is, but I know it's thin sliced, so we're gonna use that. And the first thing I'm gonna do is add some cornstarch to that. It says 1/4 cup of cornstarch, so I've measured that out, and I'm just gonna sprinkle that all over the steak and then toss it around to make sure it's coated. Okay, my meat's coated as good as it's gonna get. As you saw, I like made sure everything was separated and no meat was like sticking together. So now I'm gonna start making the sauce over top of it. So for this, I am missing the rice vinegar. I just haven't been able to find rice vinegar in the store lately. So I just omitted that. But in this measuring cup, I have measured out 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, 1/2 cup of beef broth, and 1/2 cup of soy sauce. And then in here I have some minced garlic and some minced ginger. It calls for like 2 teaspoons of minced garlic and 1 teaspoon of minced ginger, but I just kind of eyeballed it. It was like 3 cloves of garlic that I minced up. And then I have 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And now I'm just gonna give this another stir and put the lid on it and let this cook on low for like 4 to 5 hours. Okay, this has been on warm now for about an hour. I turned it off probably about an hour ago because it looked done. I just stirred it up, and as you can see, because we coated that like steak in cornstarch, it thickened up really nicely, and it smells amazing in here. To go with this, I'm just going to make some fried rice real quick. I've made this many times, so I'm not going to show me making the fried rice tonight, but I will leave a video link down below for you guys if you are interested in seeing that, and I will be right back to show you our plates. So here it is all plated up. Usually I do Korean beef over just white rice, but I was really wanting fried rice, so I did fried rice tonight. These are the kids' plates. This is my plate. I topped it with some green onion. I wanted some sesame seeds, but I have not been able to find sesame seeds in quite a while. So I've ordered it from Walmart a couple times, and every time they say that they're out. I feel like somebody maybe just can't find them, but also they could be out. But you know, when you do grocery pickup, a lot of the time, like, you can go in the store like right afterwards and find the thing that they said that they were out of. So yeah, sometimes somebody just doesn't want to look for something, but I haven't been in Walmart in a while, so maybe I need to suck it up and go in there and find some sesame seeds if I want them. But this is going to be dinner for Wednesday, and I will be sure to leave a note here on the screen and let you guys know how we like this. This Korean beef was really good. My only complaint was that the sauce was maybe a little bit too thick. Next time I think I would just do a little bit less of the cornstarch. Thursday night we had this chicken and rice casserole. So I start off by cooking up some veggies in a skillet in a little bit of oil. I've got half of an onion, some celery, and some carrot. And my celery and carrot were actually frozen when I started. I had these cut up in the freezer from when they were going to go bad one day and I didn't have anything to use them for. So I just cut them up, toss them in the freezer to use in a soup or something like this. So I just cooked those up until they started to get tender. Those onions were translucent. And then what we're going to be doing is taking a box of the chicken, like rice-a-roni basically. I have the Aldi one, and cooking it according to the box directions. So mine says to like saute the rice and vermicelli mixture in 2 tablespoons of butter. So I just added 2 tablespoons of butter to my onion and celery and carrot mixture. Then I added the rice and let that saute for a couple of minutes. Let the rice and vermicelli get kind of toasted. And then once it was toasted, going to continue to follow the box directions for the rice. So I added in the water that it called for and the seasoning packet, and then let that come to a boil. Once it was boiling, I reduced the heat, turned it down, let it simmer with a lid on for 15 minutes. It says 15 to 20. I typically do the lesser end since this is going to go into the oven. After those 15 minutes, I kind of fluff the rice a little bit, and then we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. So about 1 cup of sour cream, 1 can of cream of chicken soup, and 2 cups of cooked chicken. I like to use canned chicken in this because it just makes it that much easier. You don't have to. You could use rotisserie chicken. You could use some leftover chicken that you have, whatever you want to do, but I really like to use canned chicken in this because it is just super simple. And then you could add some more seasoning if you want to. Usually I add more pepper, but I was not thinking this night and forgot to add pepper. But it really doesn't need that much more seasoning because you use that seasoning packet in the rice-a-roni, so it's good. It didn't really need anything. I just added pepper to my bowl. And then I'm going to transfer this to a baking dish. If you have a skillet that is oven safe, you can make this in a skillet from the beginning. I just don't have a skillet that has a lid, and you kind of need a lid when you're cooking the rice. I don't have a skillet with a lid that is oven safe. So I transferred it to a casserole dish and topped this with some cheese. And then this bakes in the oven at 350 for 30 minutes. And here's what that looks like when it comes out of the oven. This is delicious. I've made it a couple times now, and it is definitely a family favorite. It's just super filling, and it's basically just comfort food, and it's rice, so it's definitely Andy's favorite. But that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you plan on trying any of these recipes, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, as I mentioned at the beginning, this was a collab with my friend Amanda. Her link will be in the description box, so make sure you click that, go over and let her know that you came from my channel. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!